My name is Tengu, aka Elias Turner. I've been rapping, producing, and sound designing for a couple years now, and I've always been in depth with music. I want to bring light or enlightenment to the people who feel they don't have a voice, to the people who feel they aren't being listened to the people who feel as if they're not being respected. I want to bring light to the people who feel counted out or left astray. My main purpose, giving these people a voice, telling them they matter, telling them that they mean something, not only to themselves, but to everyone around them. I want to mold a world where we could all be as one. When I first walked out the door with Nick, I didn't know what I was in for. I didn't know the rabbit hole of an idea that he had to emplace in my soul and my mind. The way we see each other, it's not interpreted the way we actually think about each other and the way we think about ourselves. The way we converse and the way people interact is still not the way we perceive it or how we think it is. I learned a lot about the connections I have with people, and then I also learned that those connections were lack thereof. I believe truthfully in my body and my soul and my spirit and the mind that my body has succumbed to, and not the other way around. That people need a platform, need a common ground, need a place where we can all be okay. Tuma slang is truth. It's the light that I couldn't see in my life up until my recent conversation with Nick. What I thought would be a walk in the park turned out to be an extravagant rainbow of ideas that my mind couldn't keep a hold of or calculate or put together. I was amazed at what Nick told me. He told me about the misconstrued feelings we have about relationships, or rather, the misconstrued thingments we have surrounding relationships. We believe that when we do one thing with each other, or when we communicate and or interact with each other, we create a relationship. Now I know that that isn't true. It's amazing to me because the words that he was speaking to me blew bombs off in my head. I felt an array of colors inside of my body. He told me probably the most honest thing about a relationship I've ever heard. And it wasn't that relationships aren't simply the interactions we have with people. Rather, they're the relations we have with people. What that means is we have certain things that we do with people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we are in a relationship with them. For example, Nick told me that you go to the deli, you talk with the deli man, he gives you bologna, but you walk out of the market. You never have a conversation with him other than the fact for bologna. So, could you even call that a relationship? How do people want to define relationships nowadays? Is it just simple interactions we have on the bus? We're going the same destination, but when we leave, we're going separate ways. To me, that's just an experience. A relationship means you need to have multiple relations. They don't have to necessarily benefit you or the other person, but you do have to have a sense of multiple connections. This speaks truth to me in more ways than I ever thought it would. One key thing we must keep in mind of when having relationships, when keeping relationships, is our involvement. Involvement means everything. The way we interact with each other every day, or the way we don't. Leaving space for yourself and leaving space for other people is what builds a relationship. How do you interact with them? What do you do with them? Do you make music with your friends? Or do you sit down with your family and have dinner? Or do you not do these things? Imagine having a holstered weapon, but your weapon is your involvement in those relationships, your relations in those relationships. You can choose whether or not to use them for good or for evil, for pleasure or for pain. These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. How much power do we hold within ourselves to know that we can keep healthy or unhealthy relationships? Because to me, overall, it's still a relationship. As we were walking, I asked about my relationships. Like, for instance, Nick asked me personally, this is where it gets really interesting, in my opinion. He asked me, who would you consider you have a relationship with? I said, first person I could think of was my father. I see him every day. I live with him. We have two different kinds of relations with each other. We're a family, for one. I live with him. We eat together. I have siblings, and he has daughters that we both bond with. But we also create music together. We have a music career bonding relation. These two sole reasons as to why I stay. Sorry, we can cut that out. But Nick then asked me, or Nick told me that is a relationship. You have multiple relations with my father. And he was right. I do. That's what built my relationship with my father. It wasn't just the fact that he was my father that said that I am involved with him. emotionally, mentally, physically. Then he asked, give me another. I told him my best friend, one of my close best friends, who I will not disclose, and I could only name one thing that we had relation with each other. That's not a relationship. It's just an interaction that I have with the same person each day. There's no... I'm sorry. I'm still trying to get used to camera stuff. So let me go back. Nick asked me to give him another example. I told him my best friend. He said, what do you do? I told him, we make music together. He said, so you have another music career bonding relationship, but how often do you do it? And I said, not often enough. He said, it's not a relationship. When I put the pieces together in my mind, in my head, I realized he's right. It's not a relationship. It's something I do. It's an interaction I have. It's an experience we both share. But it's not necessarily a common, multiple pieces of a common ground that we have together. We have nothing else to build off of except for that one thing. It might as well just be a job. No one wants that in a relationship. No one wants to feel like they're working in a relationship. I talked about my ex, or rather, I brought it up to him, and I realized that the one thing that I had in common with just my ex was a romantic relation, but not a relationship. Sure, we might have been best friends in that sense, but we had nothing else to relate to. I didn't want to be a pharmacology student like she did. She didn't want to be a music major like I did. There were no other similarities other than the fact that we were attracted to each other. And I realized at that point that I needed to break things off. And I realized the truth that lies in relationships. See, Nick taught me that there is a certain language and a certain common ground that we all need to understand with relationships. Nick described to me that there are no guidelines in relationships. There are no rules in relationships. This is why relationships don't work the way that we want them to, because we put our minds to these set guidelines, to these rules, and there's no nomenclature. There's no common ground. There's no language. There's no platform for people to understand each other. And if we all make up these rules in our own head and set up these rules in our own head, there's no way that we can have the relationships that we want, or relationships at all. I learned the most valuable lesson in anything is that if you want to expand on an idea, specifically a relationship, you need a nomenclature. No one drives around with a car and expects to have different set of rules for each car. It's not like they were all built differently. They're all built the same. They all have one structure. Doesn't mean necessarily that there are rules on how to make a car or how to drive a car, but there is a set terminology or language that we use with vehicles. And it's the same way with a relationship. I learned the most valuable lesson in anything is that if you want to expand on an idea, specifically a relationship, you need a nomenclature.